Today we are going to talk about pillar 8, which is incident recovery. Let's talk about clean room element. Clean room is nothing but a secured environment designed for recovery of your critical data and systems following a potential cyber incident or a breach. This environment typically contains immutable or tamper-proof backups that we talked about in pillar 7. Compute, network storage, and software is required for the recovery. Make sure that the clean room is physically and logically separated from production and DRIT environment. So if there is a cyber attack, your clean room always remains clean, serene, and that's something that you can use for the recovery. And last but not the least, designated systems and workstations that your forensic team is going to use for forensic analysis. Cyber recovery plans are different than your typical DR, wherein you are looking for latest and greatest copies of your runbooks and the configuration and last successful backup or a snapshot. In case of a cyber, you might need historic credentials, backup in the runbooks. Based on the nature of incident, you would also have to ensure that you have ability to perform the forensic analysis and validation, which typically you don't do in case of a DR. And last but not the least, again, make sure that you have up-to-date recovery runbooks for recovery of data and systems in the clean room isolated environment. Cyber recovery execution teams, critical piece here as well. Often when there is a cyber attack, DR or IT teams are not allowed to access cyber recovery environment until thorough forensic analysis is completed. So it is very important for organizations to identify which team is going to execute the recovery. This team typically works in tandem with cybersecurity and forensic teams. We'll talk about those teams in a moment here. Their team is, this particular team, their ability to execute recovery based on the outcome of forensic analysis, and they are responsible for your final recovery of data and systems in the clean room environment, and make sure that once everything is fully recovered, you can actually use that environment as your production and start your business processes. Forensic analysis and validation, critical for cyber recovery. As we discussed or mentioned previously, this team is responsible for forensic analysis and validation of data and systems restored in clean room environment. They help identify breadth and depth of the attack. They help identify the clean recovery point based on their thorough analysis. Once systems are actually restored in the clean room environment, this team helps identify or certify data integrity and the usability of data and systems. They work in tandem with cybersecurity and cyber recovery execution teams. Clean data recovery, this is the whole purpose of having your immutable backups, plans, procedures, your ability to ensure that the data that you recover in clean room environment remains safe and secure. In clean room environment, you want to ensure that you have ability to perform iterative recoveries if required. Make sure that data that is recovered is truly clean. You can employ certain policies out there, like maybe deploy a layer 7 firewall, which is kind of your gateway to clean room, to make sure that nothing sneaks into that environment, and that environment where your data is restored or recovered remains truly clean. Cyber recovery testing or exercise is another critical piece here. It's one thing to have the technology solution, plans, procedures, resources required to execute the recovery and do the forensic analysis. But if you are not validating, your plans and procedures on a regular basis to identify potential shortcomings, you might get into a lot of surprise during the actual incident. It's recommended to do at least 2 cyber recovery exercise every year based on how dynamic your environment is. Obviously, as part of the exercise, you want to document any lessons learned, make sure that the remediations are implemented in a timely manner. At the same time, document the outcome, potentially baseline your recovery time objectives, and socialize that with your internal stakeholders so everybody understands, should there will be attack, this is how much it is going to take us to do the restoration once that clean recovery point is identified. Cyber recovery lifecycle management, sometimes this is the area which is often neglected or kind of overlooked. One thing you want to ensure that you're always on top of changes going in production, maybe change in the threat landscape for your business vertical, maybe change in key regulation or compliance requirements. Make sure that whenever there is any change, your plans, procedures, solution is updated, that is something that you can validate during the next exercise. So idea here is to make sure that you can maintain up-to-date cyber recovery plans and procedures, and you're ready should something happens in your environment. And here is the survey. So if you are interested, you can go ahead and click the link here, and that will take you to our cybersecurity assessment survey. It will help you understand where do you stand with respect to both, preventive as well as reactive risk controls, and what are the help that you can need. And that's all from my end. Thank you.